Subscribe. MTL World at Middle World 1 YouTube channel. Swallowed Star 2. Origin Continent. Chapter 15 236 The Trade of the Thousand Dream Fruit. 15th of Volume 6. In the minds of the emperors, there is a general understanding of the value of the dream fruit, with most believing that, 2 or 3 ultimate realm Xuanhuan bloodline corpses, that's about right. However, Emperor Fu has proposed a full 50% corpses now, which indeed surprises all the emperors. 50% corpses. Emperor Yan frowned and looked at Emperor Fu. Even if they come from different corpses, 50% corpses, worth of materials. That's too much, isn't it? The other emperors, who had been silent, also looked at Emperor Fu. Emperor Fu smiled slightly. 50% corpses, worth of materials, is that too much? In my opinion, it's not much at all. I think it's quite a lot. Emperor Yuan also frowned and said, Emperor Fu, are you deliberately using the clan's treasures to give it to this black robe? Do you know this black robe? Emperor Fu did not speak, but his expression turned cold. This is a collective discussion among the emperors, Di Zan reprimanded. Every emperor can voice their opinion. Di Fu merely proposed a suggestion, and you, Di Yuan, accuse him of deliberately giving treasures to the black robe. Di Yuan, you have gone too far. Di Fu only proposed a suggestion. The final decision still requires a collective agreement. Di Jufeng also spoke up, quite dissatisfied. HMPH. Di Yuan sneered. I want to see what reason Di Fu has. Di Fu glanced at Di Yuan. Di Yuan, among the 13 emperors, you have caused the most trouble for the royal family. You are the least qualified to say such things. Di Yuan's expression changed, and he shouted angrily, Di Fu, you are targeting me again and again. Today, it is you who is targeting me. Di Fu glared at him coldly, I am the current ruling emperor. Should I turn a blind eye to your mess? So, are we going to collectively discuss your issues today? Emperor Fu. Emperor Fu is the current era's lead emperor of the Flame-Wind Ancient Kingdom. He thus currently manages the Ancient Kingdom's affairs. He is known for being good at investigating causality, implying that he has fully comprehended at least one major branch of the great Tao of the causality origin. He is the second oldest of the emperors, only behind Emperor Yan. Emperor Yan. Emperor Yan was the first emperor of the Flame-Wind Ancient Kingdom, and thus once had a reputation that shocked the entire continent of origin. With the emergence of the other 12 emperors, especially Emperor Qing, his influence greatly declined. Di Yuan sneered, enough of that, let's not mention it. I'm curious why you would offer 50% of the corpse materials for a single 1,000 dream fruit. Di Fu glanced around. Let's get back to the main topic. I want to ask, are you all sincerely trying to buy this 1,000 dream fruit, or not? The many emperors present were taken aback. If we only bid 30% of the corpse materials, do you think we can buy the dream fruit? Emperor Fu asked again. I believe everyone knows in their hearts that the Thunder Ancient Kingdom has more corpse materials than us, and they might bid 30 to 40%. As for the 3 major alien races, they generally bid higher than our 2 ancient kingdoms. The 3 major alien races probably don't have that many corpse materials, Emperor Yuan said. The 3 major alien races will offer other conditions, such as a small amount of low-level primordial life remains, the emperor said. In any case, based on my understanding of the 3 major alien races, their bid will definitely be higher than the 2 ancient nations. The emperors present fell silent. Yes. It has always been this way. The homelands of the 3 major alien races do not have such rare treasures, and they are willing to pay a higher price for each one. The ancestors of the 2 nations have already gained too much, so they are even more picky. Offering 30% of the corpse materials, everyone knows, the chance of success is extremely low. I just don't want to be blamed by the ancestor, Di Fu said. If you sincerely want to buy this 1,000 dream fruit for the ancestor, the bid must exceed 40% of the corpse materials to have a chance to surpass the 3 major alien races and seize the 1,000 dream fruit. There are only about 50% of the materials in our treasury. Bidding 40% or 50%. What's the difference for us? What can a few remaining materials do? Di Fu said. 40% of the corpse materials still have a low success rate. I estimate that the 3 major alien races will generally bid within this range, or even higher. 50% of the corpse materials will give us a greater hope. Paying such a high price to obtain this 1,000 dream fruit. Di Yuan sneered. Don't forget, Di Fu looked around, the origin continent has already entered its final stage. The emperors present felt a jolt in their hearts. The top-tier rare treasures produced in the dream domain will become increasingly rare as time goes on, Di Fu said. And before the end of the origin continent, we must leave. The 1,000 dream fruit may not be of much use to the ancestor, but it is very useful to us. The other 11 emperors were moved. Can this top-tier rare treasure really be ours? Di Kong couldn't help but ask, his eyes blazing with excitement. Since it was for the ancestor, everyone didn't mind too much. But if it were for personal use, my debt to the clan isn't too high, Di Fu said. I will proactively apply to the ancestor to buy this dream fruit. As for the so-called cost, I'll bear it myself. Di Ming, who had been silent, suddenly brightened up and said, I will apply too. Among the 12 emperors present, Di Ming and Di Fu had the least debt to the clan and still had enough credit to buy the dream fruit. We will have to leave the origin continent in the future, and after that, we won't have any chance to obtain such top-tier treasures. These emperors were all somewhat tempted. They wouldn't be able to live in the next era of the origin continent, and after leaving the origin continent, how could they possibly obtain treasures of this level again? It will be too difficult. For example, the 3 major alien races, breaking through the boundary to reach the origin continent, and paying such a high price, all willing to buy the dream fruit. We can't afford it. Di Kong, Di Chu, and the others all looked quite sharp. The ancestors of the 2 nations made the emperors and monarchs of the 2 ancient nations bear huge debts. If the emperors and monarchs wanted more treasures, they had to pay off their debts first. So they all desperately collected top-tier treasures. The 2 ancestors didn't need to spend their efforts and energy, because these emperors and monarchs brought many treasures to pay off their debts. I am willing to buy it with 50% of the body materials, and I will also proactively apply to the ancestor to buy the 1,000 dream fruit. No matter the cost, I will bear it myself. Emperor Fu looked around. Is everyone okay with contributing 50% of the body materials? Good. Emperor Ming nodded. At that time, we will apply to the ancestor, and each will rely on their own abilities. Emperor Fu also nodded. Di Fu indeed wanted the 1,000 dream fruit. After consuming it, one could experience 1,000 reincarnations in dreams, practicing in the dream world just like in reality, accumulating insights and honing the mind. Such a treasure is extremely valuable. Only the ancestors of the 2 nations, who had reached a very high level of cultivation and had obtained similar treasures, did not care much about it. The 1,000 dream fruit is most effective when consumed for the first time. The benefits will decrease with subsequent uses. I have no objections, Di Zan nodded. Emperor Fu, you can handle it yourself. Of course, I have no objections, Emperor Kong sighed. Unfortunately, I can't afford it, Emperor Chu shook his head. One by one, the emperors had no objections, even Emperor Yan did not oppose at this moment. They could see that the Emperor Fu's decision would definitely exceed half. Then it's settled, the Emperor Fu nodded. Emperor Fu, Emperor Yan suddenly spoke. If the Black Robe agrees to this transaction, can I observe? Emperor Fu glanced at Emperor Yan and nodded with a smile, of course. Emperor Yan nodded. Emperor Yan Palace. Emperor Yan, Emperor Wu, and Emperor Shi gathered together. Elder brother, are you going to observe this transaction? Di Wu looked at Di Yan with confusion. Di Yan nodded. You should know, I was the first to become an emperor in the entire royal family, and Di Fu was the second. At that time, we were both cultivating the primordial bloodline, and we had a deep bond. I also helped him a lot. Di Wu and Di Shi both nodded. I know Di Fu the best in the entire royal family, Di Yan said. I have always wanted to win Di Fu over to our side. So that the 4 of us can act together after we leave the origin continent. With Emperor Fu's mastery of formations, if he joins us, our team's strength would at least double. Di Wu nodded. But brother, you've been trying to win him over for so long, and he hasn't even acknowledged it. Yes. Di Yan nodded. Di Fu's temperament is mild on the surface, but he is extremely decisive in reality. Back then, he didn't hesitate to abandon the Xuanhuan bloodline and chose to reincarnate. And during the previous collective decisions of the emperors, he sometimes gave me some face, but other times he stood directly against me. He is not influenced by gratitude, the decisions he makes cannot be swayed by me, Di Yan said. I have long understood that he would never join us. It's just that this time, he's being so stubborn, which is quite rare, Di Yan said. Although his explanation isn't quite sufficient, he wants that dream fruit for himself. I have known him for too long. His decision feels off to me. So, for this transaction, I plan to observe. Coincidentally, I'm quite interested in that black robe as well. Di Yan, don't go against Di Fu. Di Shi, who had been silent, spoke up. You can't defeat him. Di Yan was taken aback, looked at Di Shi, and smiled. I know. Without relying on external factors, only Emperor Fu on the origin continent could refine his body into an ultimate realm life form through formations. Other powerful beings, ultimate realm life forms, either relied on the chaotic source bloodline or various rare Xuanhuan materials from the primordial continent outside of Caged World or origin continent. Emperor Fu's mastery of formations are astonishing, and he had also exchanged for powerful formation treasures with the ancestor, making his strength even more terrifying. This is just the surface. Di Yan knew very well that Emperor Fu had always been very good at hiding. In terms of schemes, who on the origin continent can outsmart him? Di Yan said. To be honest, although everyone says the Black Robe's identity is mysterious and unknown, if anyone from the two ancient nations could deduce his identity, I think Di Fu would be the first to figure it out. This time, the Black Robe fought against Di Zhufeng and Di Wu, confirming that the Black Robe possesses a physical body not inferior to that of an ultimate realm life form, Di Yan said. The physical body is terrifying, and the mental will surpasses the God King level. Di Ming has royal resources for cultivation, but this Black Robe, as a casual cultivator, reaching this level is even more frightening than Di Ming. I have a feeling that there might be a connection between Di Fu and the Black Robe, Di Yan said. The origin continent is nearing its end, so we must be more diligent, Di Yan said, looking at Di Shi and Di Wu. We must compete for any major opportunities. The power within the origin continent is limited to the ultimate realm's peak. So as long as they three alien races can get involved, we can too. The more opportunities we seize, the stronger we become. Only then when we leave the origin continent in the future can the three of us live better, Di Yan said. Di Wu and Di Shi both nodded. They look down on ordinary opportunities, but they will never miss out on precious resources if they can get involved. Luo Feng received responses from the two ancient nations. The Thunder Ancient Nation is willing to provide about 30% of the corpse materials, which are sourced from two different Ultimate Realm Xuanhuan bloodline corpses. The Flame Wind Yangfeng Ancient Nation is willing to provide about 50% of the corpse materials, which are sourced from three different Ultimate Realm Xuanhuan bloodline corpses. Yangfeng Ancient Kingdom offered so much. Luo Feng was very surprised. The conditions offered by Yangfeng Ancient Kingdom were truly excellent. Even after negotiating with the three major alien races, Yangfeng Ancient Kingdom's terms would probably be the best. Your conditions are slightly better than those of the three major alien races. I am willing to sell the dream fruit to you. Luo Feng responded to Yangfeng Ancient Kingdom through the talisman, and both parties also confirmed the time and place for the handover. The small town at the border of Yangfeng Ancient Kingdom, Snow Peak Town, was built on the top of a towering mountain range, where it snowed all year round. There are not many cultivators residing here, only a few billion at most. The highest point in the city, which is also the highest peak of the entire majestic mountain range, is completely sealed off today, prohibiting all cultivators from approaching. Luo Feng, wearing a black robe and a golden mask, appeared in the sky. Because he was conducting a transaction for the Thousand Dream Fruit, Luo Feng was preventing the Yan Wind Ancient Kingdom from forcibly seizing it. Therefore, this time, his physical body was in the state where he could unleash his strongest power, reaching a world life form with a perfect divine body and energy reserve of 56 times. Additionally, Luo Feng was carrying the Star Tower. With a single step, Luo Feng was already at the mountaintop. At the mountaintop, two figures had already appeared, their auras naturally affecting the surrounding world. They were Di Fu and Di Yan. Here they come. Di Fu and Di Yan also saw the black-robed, golden-masked figure appear. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe. MTL World at Middle World 1 YouTube channel.